I think if you could get the talking right, combining a great LLM with great voice recognition is a really important milestone.
Such a great insight, because if you think we've been trying to have this voice interface for 20 years, right, Bill? Drag and dictate. You probably looked at some of these companies back in the day. And my perception was the payoff from speaking was very low. Siri, lower the music. Siri, pause the music. Like, it's not enough of a payoff for me not to just click the volume up and down button. But if you say, get me a reservation at one of the 5 best sushi restaurants within 20 blocks of me while I'm in Manhattan, and I want it in the next hour, and it actually does that, that's a major lift. That's a major payoff. So I'm willing to do that. And I found myself when I was skiing this time, I answered and replied to, and Siri can do this where you can like reply or, and I find myself doing that. And then on the iPhone 15, I don't know if you gentlemen have it, there's a thing called the action button. Do you know about this, the action button? The action button is just a button that you can program to go directly to an app. I set my action button. When I press it, it does a shortcut, and my shortcut is the Chat GPT-4 interface.
Voice interface.
So I'm driving in my car. I got my Tesla on self-driving. I got this, and I just press the button, and then I'm having a conversation with Chat GPT-4 about history. And I was with my daughter and we were having a conversation. She wanted to know the history of a certain war and a certain people. And it was unbelievable. It was like having a tutor in the car with me. And so I agree with you. I think this could be the big breakout.
By the way, one cool kind of tactical minor example of this is that Roku has, there's a microphone button.
Yes.
And you can say, fast forward 10 minutes, or turn the volume up, or turn the captions on, or turn the captions off. And it's awesome.
Well, again, the payoff to put captions on and off is like 5 or 6 steps, right? And so when the payoff is greater, and AI kind of makes the payoff greater, then it's worth doing it, right? The juice, the squeeze is worth the juice. The juice is worth the squeeze.
There's a second part to get to the reality you talked about. So I think this first hurdle is, can you get voice recognition great and combine it with an LLM? The second part is equally difficult, which is, can you build an infrastructure for transactional, things in a digital world that you described, Jason? And I think it's harder than people realize. I think Google struggled over the years with, can they do deals with the aggregators in a way that's mutually beneficial. And for the most part, there's just been a ton of friction in trying to make that happen. And if you don't do
what's an example of that? Like Expedia or something?
Trying to work with Expedia or Booking.com, because there's an ad relationship, and Google always wanted there to be a jump ball competition between the players. But the user, that example you just shared, you don't want it to come back and say, do you want me to get a quote from Booking and a quote from Expedia and a quote from you don't want that overhead,
no, just
right?
Give me my reservation.
Yeah. So how do you make that happen? Because if you can't work out a deal with an aggregator that's mutually beneficial, that's hidden under the covers, now you have to go out to each individual small business to make this all work. And that's nearly impossible also.
Yeah, that's a multi-decade process.